Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall discuss current affairs and Gazette for today, 28th of February 2022. Before we begin, let me welcome all of you participants here. Hi Amlan, Netra, Vani, Bhavani, Vakram, Ashish, Kanupriya, Vivek, Kriti, Hima. A lot of answers being written by all of you. Amazing to see that. Hi Pooja, good evening. Pooja, you haven't written. All right. Yes. So good evening to all of you and welcome to all of you. Amazing to see these answers being written by you people. I am in special appreciation to Kanupriya here and Hima and Ashish. The points that you have mentioned for additive manufacturing, the specific industries that you have mentioned, that is worth appreciation. One point of concern, I have seen some of you writing answers on just seeing some of the keywords of the question. We are not noting all the words. So a couple of you saw the mistakes that you people have done right now, right? Question 3, and where we had asked you, the question was, let me look at the question. The third one is on I'm not able to spot the question. It was on jobs and green economy and employment. And some of you have written it only on green economy. You have to write on both of them inclusive together, right? And there are times when we note down the keywords, but we don't understand the ask of the question. Elaborate, explain, analyze, comment, critically analyze. Yes, green finance and employment. That is the question. So point being, you have to look at the question. And right now I am only providing the question in keywords. 5 points to this or maybe some examples. In the examination, you would have a sentence. And what we are asked to actually do, when I was being trained, my guide used to ask me to read the question 2 to 3 times so that it gets embedded in my mind that what really is the ask of the question. You know, from superficial understanding, it might seem that I quickly understand what it is. But then on a deeper level, we understand that the question has a lot of it, more meanings attached to what we to more than what we understand, right? So that is the point that I want to mention, and thank you that you people are attempting, because in attempting is the mistakes, in attempting is the correction. So that's a good attempt here. All the 3 questions, appreciation to all of you. Thank you for writing. Pooja, you should be writing now. People viewing online, you must be writing as well, because people who are writing here, they have themselves seen the change and they are habituated now. So practice and discipline. What do we have on current affairs today? We have National Strategy for Additive Manufacturing by MITI. So we will understand what this additive manufacturing is about. Good examples put by all of you people viewing offline. Please have a look at the examples put here. Beautiful ones. Then Swift transactions. What are these transactions? Right, Belgium based. Green jobs portal, right? A new portal only for green jobs. So thank you for putting that keyword here. Vivek, that keyword is green jobs, right? Green collar jobs. Very, very good one. Hi Tiyasha, good evening. This day in history dedicated to National Science Day, dedicated to the birthday of C.V. Raman. Featured news for today on Russia and Ukraine, the complete background story of these countries together after 1991. We will understand here what is the stand of both the nations, what is the conflict, what about the main man, Mr. Putin. So quite an interesting article. And although we might have our personal biases, but it's strongly understood and advised that while preparing for a journey like UPSC, we have to keep our biases away and we have to understand objectively what both the sides want, what is the meaning of the basic value of peace or harmony, and how do we approach a situation like this, right? How countries are getting impacted and how India is getting impacted, we will understand in another feature article. So a beautiful feature news on this Russia and Ukraine. You will understand how a person grew to such fame in just a short period of time. Image of the day on Mission Ganga. I think that now you know what Mission Ganga is about. Terms and concepts that we have for today. First e-waste park in the country. The second term and concept for today is Lachit Borphukan, a very important military general from Ahom kingdoms. The third one is on indigenous stealth fighter, which is being now manufactured with the help of France. and the fourth one is on co-branded credit card by Bank of Baroda. The three editorials that we have, one on science and technology, and the second one is on hydropower in India, and the third one is on the conflict between Russia and Ukraine and its inflation challenges in India. Floating School from Bangladesh, a beautiful case study. So let's start this discussion. All right. Okay. So before I get on to explaining what this additive manufacturing strategy is about, I would like to quickly show you a small piece of video on how additive manufacturing actually works. So when you look at a video like this, just have a look. In this technology, the Eiffel Tower is getting constructed through additive technology. You see in this image, the machine is working at a high speed and it is creating the 4 pillars of Eiffel Tower, creating from scratch, from zero. In fact, the arms of the machine are adding glue, adding plastic, adding resin, adding possibly metals as well, and various other kind of entities, and it is how it is creating an Eiffel Tower. This is called as additive technology. On the other hand, there is something called as subtractive technology. Both of them are quite different from each other. On one hand, this is additive technology plus, and there is a subtractive technology. So now we have initiated a policy on additive technology. Now, there is a prime difference between additive and subtractive technology. That is that here we see in additive technology, we see addition of small bits and pieces of entities to the same structure. It gets created. On the other hand, there is a subtractive technology in which, now let me pause the video, in which in subtractive technology, the Eiffel Tower, the existence of Eiffel Tower, these 4 towers, these 4 pillars, this would have already been in the form of a cuboid block, and the machine would work and carve it out. You understand what I am saying? No? The difference between additive and subtractive is that in subtractive, out of a cuboid block, the entity, that is the Eiffel Tower, would be scraped out. It would be carved out. So a lot of wastage of particles would happen in subtractive engineering, subtractive technology. On the other hand, in additive technology or 3D printing, this is what it is called as 3D printing, 3-dimensional printing of an entity. In this technology, the wastage of resources is less. But this is a far more niche process. It requires a software. So what it requires is the complete modeling inside a computer. We model it first, and then this computer commands an artificial arm to work and then create a device out of zero. So this process has got more technologies added to it, but then once created, it can be used to make the process far more efficient, right? So this is the reason that we have a national strategy for additive manufacturing. Currently, what do we have? Subtractive manufacturing, is it not? So what do we do is lay huge iron sheets, and out of those iron sheets, they are embedded or they're melted, and then newer structures are created, and some part of it is broken off. So this additive manufacturing will take in lesser amount of raw minerals and most efficient. Subtractive manufacturing is the opposite to it, right? So now the government has given targets, for example, in increasing India's share in global additive manufacturing to 5% and add 1 billion to the gross domestic product. See, this is where probably some of you are facing the challenge. You might be writing all these things down. I do not disagree here. You could write it down, but these targets keep changing. Look at the major targets. For example, export, $4 billion $100 export. That is a target to understand, right? Share in manufacturing, I understand that target, but this is a novice technology, new technology. The targets will keep shifting from time to time. So do not remember this. Just remember the basic essence of technology. The examples that you have put, they are far, far more powerful. Vasudev, the questions are right here in the chat above you, right? So good evening to you. So if you look at the examples that you yourself have written, the ones of additive technology, let me share that with you. You people have yourself written some examples. For example, complex manufacturing, like engine parts, nanotechnology, absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Biotechnology, producing or creating organs, right? Organ, for ear parts, example, right? plastic, objects, plastic organs are created so that they can replace what, body parts that we have. Cosmetic changes, just for that. Modeling of satellites. All right, good examples here. Then Amlan, you would like to look at the examples. Organ transplant is good example, but when you say research and educational purposes, you got to be a little more precise. What kind of technology you are talking of, right? Ashish again says expensive technology, precision, absolutely. Wherever precision is required, these technologies work very, very, very well. So, but then yes, that kind of expertise we do not have right now. Plus one more thing, is it something that is going to increase employment in the country? No, it will not, because these high-end designs will only be created through machines. One simple, see, additive technology is also a part of chip designing, right? So when we see a complete chip fab unit, fab means what? Fabrication unit, right? This is the chip on which semiconductor, for example, silicon or germanium body would be placed, and on this we would be adding different microprocessors, chips, right? Integrated circuits, embedding on it. So this is additive engineering. This is the reason that both of them, they are the forward and backward linkages of semiconductor industry as well, right? So we would also be able to create computers also, not only the organ transplant that you're speaking of, computers as well, right? So examples put are very good here. Medical, allied sectors, prosthetics, good. Artificial limbs, absolutely, all of them, right? Motor parts, good example. Thank you, Hima, right? So good one here. So this is the policy, and I told you how it starts, creation of a model in the computer, and after that working it out through the machine itself, right? And start relating the articles. Now when you look at the Atal Tinkering Labs, ATL, right? Atal Tinkering Labs, these labs are there in schools, and children can play with these devices. So 3D printers have been awarded to various schools, so that children could actually go and learn to create devices, equipments with this kind of technology. So India has targeted 500 total entities and 50 India-specific technologies. India-specific technology which can be used in the country itself, not only for export. Will it create jobs? Yes, high-skilled jobs, absolutely. And this technology is this new policy is going to have a uniform regulation for this industry. So this is it, right? Largely you need to understand what additive engineering is about and some examples of it, right? So if India comes here early, India will have a better opportunity for the future as well, because this is how the future is. What do you have to preserve? Intellectual property. Wherever you have high skilled employment, high skilled job, something special, intellectual property has to be preserved, right? This is high value employment. FDI also will get put in the country, provided we have this kind of bandwidth for human resources, right? So when you look at global manufacturing risk index, India is placed very high here. India is placed quite decently high. Have a look at this article. We have covered this previously, right? Enhancement of competitiveness of capital goods. Do you remember this? We had spoken about this article just 2 weeks back, where we spoke that India wants to enhance competitiveness of goods. So we not only want the goods that we are importing to be manufactured in India, so import replacement. We also want a standardization of these, right? So that is how we are creating those entities associated with BIS. There will be associated body for this additive manufacturing as well here, right? Examples are toy economy, semiconductors, all of them, toy getting imported from East Asia, semiconductors from East Asia, replacing them all in India. So technology innovation platforms, right? Related articles that we covered previously. This is the reason that I place it here, so that you are able to relate these articles very well. Just like how I related the article on Atal Tinkering Labs, okay? All right, the next one is on Russia banned from SWIFT. All right, so this is a payment intermediary. It does not actually carry out the payment process, but it releases a code which has to be matched from different countries who are the members. So SWIFT is an international payment system, and its full form, what is the full form of SWIFT? Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications, right? So if you have known about the newspapers a little, when you saw the kind of PNB scam that happened, PNB scam for I think 12,000 crore rupees, that was because of SWIFT transactions only. The SWIFT, what do they do is that they actually, in a way, they pass codes, and those codes ensure that the transaction should be approved internationally, right? If I have to take a loan for example, if I am an Indian and I go to New York and there is a bank, right? I have a membership in PNB, and I go to New York and I want to take a loan in New York, right? And these, they could be a bank like PNB, or they could be an American bank, right? For example, American bank, any of them. Now, if SWIFT has approved, SWIFT based in Belgium, it has got networking of these banks. See, worldwide interbank financial telecommunications. So banks are able to communicate with the help of SWIFT. It ensures to pass a code, 8 to 11 digit code, and through this, the transactions are successful. International transactions are successful. Inside a country, the transaction will be successful with the help of core banking solutions, CBS, right? All the banks, single bank, and all the other banks of that particular entity, for example, SBI, they are linked to all their networks, and they'll also be linked to Reserve Bank and all other banks in India. That is for India itself. But if internationally the transaction has to be done, it is done with the help of SWIFT. India is also a member of it, right? So through this, the transaction was approved, and later on it was found that it was a fraud way in which the transaction got carried out. The transaction should not have happened, right? Anyhow, so frauds are also conducted through this. Now what has happened lately is that after a lot of thoughts, USA, European countries, they have said that we will remove Russia out of SWIFT transactions. That means all the payments pending from Russia, or all the payment pendings to Russia, they would now not happen, because SWIFT would not approve those transactions, right? It would not provide the passcodes for those transactions. Through this, this will happen that Russia's transactions will not get approved, and if payments have to be made, they will not be made. Products cannot be purchased. They cannot be even sold in the international market. Now, Russia had banked itself. See, all these countries had already said that we will be imposing very harsh penal provisions on you, Russia. But even then, Russia invaded, right, Ukraine. So it invaded on the bank of this particular thing. The entity on which it invaded Ukraine was the presence of humongous resources that Russia had. What are the resources? The foreign exchange reserves. Russia has around $600 billion of foreign exchange reserves, just around what India has. China, Japan, Switzerland, and Russia. China has around 5 times our foreign exchange reserves, around $3,000 billion, $3 trillion of reserves. Japan also has got a humongous amount. All this because they would export items to USA and European countries. Russia also has got $600 billion. It said that fine, you will impose sanctions, we will use our the reserves, and we will spend this in the international market, and this is how we will be able to prolong our purchases for a while if you do this. But when all these other countries, they have ensured that Russia cannot do any transaction itself, then all these dollars, they are of no use to Russia. I hope you understand what I am saying. Russia had said, you will impose trading sanctions, right? You will not be trading with us. That will still be fine because our reserve currency can be used. But now this reserve currency is also futile. Even if it was $1,000 trillion, even if it was, they will not be able to use, because this transaction will never be approved in international market, right? So the money is of no use. And this sanction they have imposed after a lot of thought, because there will be collateral damage for other countries also, especially the European economies. See, the European economies are integrated well with Russia. Russia also has a decent funding in European countries, right? Russia would fund countries in European economy, a huge, whatever decent amount of economy it has, it would fund in many countries like UK, like France, like Germany, more so in Germany, and all these East European countries. They would also be exporting wheat to them. India is one of the countries which imports from Ukraine and Russia a lot of oil seeds, sunflower seeds, etc. Right? So all these transactions, what will happen to them? They will not happen only. This will lead to inflation. What about the gas pipeline transactions? All of them will not happen, right? So this is a major step that was taken after a lot of thoughtfulness of the Western countries. All right. So you see this. It is important to know that SWIFT doesn't transfer funds. It doesn't transfer funds, right? But acts as a secure messaging system. It approves over 11,000 financial institutions in 200 countries. See, so Russia will not be able to take part in transactions at all internationally. This is what they have imposed, right? So either 8-digit or 11 characters, right? This is what it has. And this is how the transactions get processed, right? Allows banks to honor the payment instructions without question, subsequently helping the bank process high volumes of transaction at speed, right? So when the SWIFT codes match, the transaction must happen, right? Even if it is a humongous loan or whatever it is. So Belgium based, right? Brazil based. All right. How will it affect? We will no access to financial markets in the world. This is one impact. So no usage of the $630 billion of reserves, no usage of it, right? Or this is how it is. Russia will attempt to de-escalate the war in one way, right? Now here is where I have ensured to place what are the kind of sanctions that are placed, right? So one example is Afghanistan, right? So sanctions were placed that all the American dollars would not be spent. American dollars in Afghani transactions will not be spent. This is one example. Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA. USA had also sanctioned Iran in multiple ways, no? Right? So that is another part of transactions. Then Belarus and Poland. So when Poland and Belarus border crisis happened, when a lot of illegal immigrants from North Africa, it just happened a couple of months back. They were entering from Belarus to Poland. Then European Union, it imposed sanctions on Belarus, right? So this is what happened. And so sanctions on North Korea also, multiple ways, but they're still operating. China as well. They would have been sanctions on India also on the purchasal of S-400. But thankfully, America understood that India could be a major partner. They did not, have the CAATSA Act imposed on India, right? So sanctions. And we will also understand a lot of it about the Russia-Ukraine relations in the feature news for today and tomorrow as well, possibly. Snapshot 3 is on green job portal. All right, green jobs. Thank you for using that one, green collar jobs. We have got in our country majorly the white collar jobs, and then we have blue collar jobs, and then there are all other kinds as well. If you look at internet, there will be pink collar jobs, right? There will also be blue. There are various colors for these jobs, right? What is important to understand is that blue collar are the ones for industrial workers largely, and white collar for those people working in high technology, high skill based jobs. So there is a separate portal which the government now is looking at to authorize jobs in the green fields, right? Green technology. So once you place the examples of biomass, I would like to say, why are you looking at only biomass? See, biomass is 20 gigawatt potential out of 175 that India has envisaged. Biomass is 20. Then wind is 40. Then we have, wind is 40 and solar is 100, and then 5 is small hydel. So start looking at jobs in these solar sector, no? Isn't it? Start looking at wind potential first, no? And biomass, I agree, but look at all the jobs. So a separate job portal to be provided for, employability of people in these specific sectors, right? So not only initiating these jobs, employments, what about electronic waste? Solar electronic waste. What about the creation of these massive wind farms, right? The whole technology. What about utilizing the small hydel and selling it at local levels? See, one example of a very good system that has prospered in rural economy is related to the water mission in the rural areas. Can you name that scheme in which 90% fund is being done by the government and 10% by the individuals, and it is a portable drinking water scheme for rural areas? People are made to participate in that scheme. Anybody? Can you name that? The name is Swajal scheme. When Swajal scheme can ensure that locals participate, women participate, they also are into creation of water assets, and it's utility amongst people. They also get paid through it. They create jobs. They can also be created in creating power in rural areas wherever the small hydel can work. Biomass everywhere. So if you've seen the examples of Indore, right? We are talking of Govardhan, right? So these are the good example here, yeah. Every time you place an example, it highlights what you want to say, right? Solar potential as well, right? And I have given you the case study. If you've not remembered, I would like to point it again to you. In states like Rajasthan, massive solar potential being utilized through putting it in dry land areas, right? Creation of jobs for people, and then through solar grids, national integrated solar grids, or national green corridors, we are transporting this to other states. Not only this, even better example, right? Employability of people. Look at Kutch area. I had shared this example that in Kutch area, people are into salt manufacturing, and this industry is not good for the people by and large. It could be automated if possible, because it hurts the skin of the people. This industry has ensured that there is a lot of salt in the air, right? In the air, and this is not good for breathing. So not good for the trachea and lungs as well. Skin issues, lung issue, and then skin goes dry. Instead of this, a lot of people are being rehabilitated into better jobs in Kutch area itself. Solar plants, good example. This becomes a case study for you, right? And this will be good employment, because through energy, just like water provides life, energy provides humongous resources for development of that region, right? So e-education, e-medicine, e-governance, all of it will be reachable to places in Rajasthan, places in Ladakh, places in Gujarat, Kutch area. Good examples, no? Start using this. Start using this. So green job portal. See, so solar street lighting, standalone street pumps, biogas plants. कितने examples हैं? Look at 175 gigawatt, and then you will see the example. And अभी तो recycle पे तो आए नहीं. We have not come to recycling. It is only about creation of energy right now, right? So launch awareness about it on employment platforms like LinkedIn, etc. Right? All right. So this is it. Challenges in creating green jobs. The challenge is, you know that this technology is only new in India. Not only that, this has got limited potential right now because we are largely thriving on coal potential, right? So the job primarily is only right now at the level of construction. And 25 years hence only we will have the recycling jobs, no? So till the time this job goes away from the people. Then automation of unskilled workers. So a lot of issues here. Scalability of these institutions. So you can relate it to the green financing. We had covered this article last week itself. Green financing, green energy corridor, the rupee denominated green bonds, right, through which we are getting more finances in the country, sustainable public procurement, all of them could be related to creation of green job. See, the technology these days is getting applied towards, if you remember, we had covered RBI's participation in the network for greening of financial institutions, right? So the funding of major central banks is happening in green technologies only. And when we are funding here only, if we have an associated job portal for people, this is only going to create a complete circle. No, this is ecosystem. No, when we have water, we will have giraffe, we will have other animals, we will have lion drinking and eating each other, right? So when we have a place where we are investing in green technology, jobs have to be created. Why not create a portal for it? So if you look at the articles in totality, this will all make sense to you, right? And all the news will not come at once. It can only come one by one. You have to put it at the same place in your minds, right? So please relate those articles with this specific, right? So job portal for green market. This day in history dedicated to National Science Day. All right, this is the day dedicated to birthday of C.V. Raman, Dr. C.V. Raman, scientist and one Nobel laureate from India, also one Bharat Ratna receiver, right? So 1930, he won the Nobel Prize because in 1928, he explored the Raman effect. So this is the one through which dispersion of light is proved, right? Now, if you see, there was a time when I was studying, and this is also called as the National Science Day, absolutely, National Science Day. There was a time when I was studying and I did not understand the value in sharing things. So when I would study by myself. I would not share my content, and I did not know the value that if I am committing a mistake, I would not know how I can reform. If I am doing well, I will not be able to even receive applause. So there would be monotonity and there would be no feedback loops. right? If there is feedback, there is self-improvement, there is confidence, there is appraisal every now and then. And this is what these people used to do with each other. So in this image, you see C.V. Raman, and this is Mr. Homi Bhabha, and this is Vikram Sarabhai, and then we have APJ Abdul Kalam, you know, and this is Mr. Nehru, you know, all of them, there was a point of time, all of them were working with each other. They had different ambitions, different goals. See, Mr. Nehru was the politician and prime minister, right? But all the other scientists, these are the premier scientists in our country. C.V. Raman, right now you've known about him, right? So in physics. And then we have Homi Bhabha. He had keen interest in nuclear technology, right? So first swimming pool reactor of India at Trombay near Mumbai. And Vikram Sarabhai, he also had interest, and then he later, you know, was keenly interested in the space technology. And after that we had APJ Abdul Kalam in defense technology alongside space technology, right? So point I'm mentioning is that they all work with each other as well at various points of their career, and this is what you people are doing right now. So do not feel challenged, right? Somebody will have keen interest in sports, some of you will want to become an educationalist in the same government, in the same institution. So there is no competition, there is only collaboration between you all. This is what we can learn from the premier scientists of our country. All right. And in this image, you would be able to see quite a few people who are Bharat Ratnas. So 1, 2, and 3. I wonder, I think these people also should have received it. Great act, you know, great acts of valor, confidence, and yes, most of the people here were the elites of those times. They were from very elite families. So Homi Bhabha and Parsi, and then you know, also linked with J.R.D. Tata and Nehru. So quite you know, they were born with a silver spoon, but then they also worked really hard. We have a Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, right? And then we have a Satish Dhawan Space Center. Can you please tell me where is the Vikram Sarabhai Space Center located and where is Satish Dhawan Space Center located? Then we also have BARC, Bhabha Atomic Research Center, right? Mumbai, Navi Mumbai. And what about APJ? So, a lot of things about all these people. National Science Day. All right, feature news for today is on Russia and Ukraine, a background story of both the countries. What is the situation of war? How did it start? What happened to people around, right, in this war? What do these countries want? A timeline from 1991 between these countries. But I will discuss the timeline a little away from this as well, right? We will also understand what is about Mr. Putin that makes him so unique. All right, so beautiful, interesting article. Image of the day is on Mission Ganga. You didn't respond to this, guys. Mission Ganga is on evacuating people from Ukraine. We are good at naming missions. So one more mission, evacuating 16,000 Indians who are somehow strangled in Russia, in Ukraine or nearby countries. All right. Operation Ganga. Terms and concepts for today. The first one is e-waste park. The first e-waste park of India at Narela. See, a humongous amount of e-waste being generated in India, and it is only going to increase with time. Electronic waste. A simple electronic waste is tube light itself. I had given this example to you. My own tube light, I didn't know how to dispose it. And then we also I have a lot of CDs and tapes. What do I do with them? I don't know how to dispose them. But the kind of pollution that it causes to land, the kind of pollution it causes to water, the kind of pollution it causes to soil, this is so humongous that it cannot be reversed in small time. On the other hand, these are important resources. Why are we treating them as end of life cycle? They can also be reverse engineered or cycled back again into the economy, just like the tires of a car, just like the glasses, window panes, just like the wood of a frame, all of it. And you see, most of the hotspots are located along the Yamuna banks. Such a harmful effect it will cause on all the marine life or anything that is dependent on life. What is on water? Anything that is dependent on water. And what is dependent on water is humans themselves, right? All the plants and animal life forms. They will all have. It has been found that at micro and nano levels, these particles, these mineral particles, they have entered the plants. And they are also entering us. So imagine if we catch, very deadly diseases. This is not going to be strange. And this is the reason that India has said that we will also have a first e-waste park in Narela. And this will be, if you had, remember you had asked me about one important question, what about landfill, sir? This will be zero landfill. There will be no landfilling, there will be complete recycling of the product. Recycling, refurbishing, dismantling, all of it. India has got a major dismantling industry, dismantling of the ships at Alang in Gujarat. And that industry again, dismantling of the iron waste, all the various minerals, submarines, big ships, all of that is carried in India. They do not do it in developed world because it causes a lot of pollution. Now India, poorer nation, gets some economy out of it, but then that also needs to be done in a lot more organized manner. Government is also regulating that now. All right. So park will provide infrastructure, training, tools, operations, all of it. So do remember it as a good example of e-waste management. Lachit Borphukan. Oh, this is important from history perspective. You must look at this complete history of the Ahom kingdoms and also history of Lachit Borphukan. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard of this name, but this is a big name because Lachit Borphukan was a military strategist who defied the attack from the Mughals in Ahom kingdom. 400 years back is when he was born, and Assam government, the government of India, is looking at major celebrations on his birthday. All right. A military strategist, his strategies are also documented and they're treated as reverent for people in militaries, right? And therefore, the best cadet award in NDA, National Defence Academy, Khadagwasla, Pune, it is named as Lachit Borphukan Award, right? So you can well imagine the kind of attachment, this name deserves, right? Best cadet graduating from NDA is given Lachit Borphukan's Victory Award, right? Gold medal. So this is it. So because of his bravery, it was ensured that the Mughals do not extend their empire to the northeast. But then in 19th century, Britishers, of course, they overtook and they also occupied the northeast areas. And only after that they started those, inner line permit system and exploiting the northeast states also, right? Only after Britishers came, but before that, around 500 years of rule of the Ahom kingdoms. All right. The Mughals lost to the Ahoms there. Engine for Indigenous stealth fighter. This is the 5th generation fighter that we are talking of. India is good at manufacturing or designing the technology, and India is also good at electronics, aviation, everything. But then the core engine is something that India is not very good at. So India has partnered with France to create a 5th generation aircraft. See, the Tejas that we have is a 4.5 generation, right? 4.5 generation. This one will be the one which we are going to create as a far more advanced, and with the help of France, we are going to create this aircraft called as Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft. We will need these aircrafts, right? And this is what France is going to help us in. AMCA, Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, 5th generation. What it will have some special wing features. Now this is what I have seen in Sukhoi 35, I think. Sukhoi 35, or I've seen in some weapons, right? So this is a trapezoidal wing. Trapezoidal wing. If you look at the shape, it is like this. It is not rectangular, it is trapezoidal. These are, inclined wings again, and these wings at the back, they would be flipping and they can rotate quite a bit, right? So this is some special features of avionics, electronics in this weapon system, right? India and France are going to create it. DRDO and Safran. Now what reminds me of through France is the kind of relationship that it has with Australia. So France has also declared its Indo-Pacific policy, and in that policy it doesn't have Australia. You people know very well why, right? I hope you know why. Why these two nations having similar backgrounds, both of white men's supremacy thoughts, why are they not related to each other right now? Why is France not happy? Co-branded credit card for railway customers. What is it? So for IRCT transactions and other transactions, right? So Bank of Baroda has created a card, and through this card one will get credits, right? Credit in that particular card, and for other transactions also. Why is this significant? This is significant for understanding the kind of financial transactions we are looking at in future. This is not only for for IRCTC, but look at the whole financial ecosystem. The bank which comes up first, see, Bank of Baroda is a smaller bank than PNB or SBI, but it is one of the most profitable institutions in government banks. And if you look at what they are trying to offer, they are trying to offer a range of services through one card. One card you own, and they will provide you innumerable services. Right now, it may seem to be small, but in times to come, this actually could integrate all the payment platforms, all of them, and also providing subsidy, initial credits for you to join them. Now, start relating it from the perspective of super app. Super app, for example, Tata is creating a super app for its medical services, 1mg, for Big Basket, all of them available at the same place. And another day it might even own Ola, I'm not saying yes, it will, Ola. And another it might say, all right, I'm taking the Walmart component of India, Walmart, right? So Flipkart, Walmart, all of them under Tata. So it will build an app, it will be called as a super app, and it will contain a lot of other services. Aren't they there already? Yes, WeChat provides all that services, from calling to booking to ticket, everything. And this is how super credit cards or super cards could also work. All right. So look at it from that perspective. A brilliant example of it for times to come. Editorials, India's journey at CERN, right? So new European nuclear facility and India participating there. India has quite a few projects in which it is attached. One of the projects is the Square Kilometer Array project. What are they trying to do? India is one of the countries which is a part of this project. This is a multiple number of these radio sensing radars would be placed at various places in many countries. India is one of the 20 countries participating in this. This project is led by UK, and what they are trying to do is understand universe, Square Kilometer Array. India is also part of this. Similarly, another project called as Large Hadron Collider. What are they trying to do? They're trying to accelerate small particles like protons, positive energy. Neutron particles will not be able to, accelerate. We can't accelerate them at these spaces. When we accelerate these protons at very high spaces, high speeds, we will also try to make them collide. Collider, Large Hadron Collider. And then when they collide, there are various kind of reactions that will happen. Energy will be released, right? We will be able to understand some of the core principles of universe, also formation of universe, right? So these are some of the projects that India has been able to participate in Europe, and then definitely it has given a lot of boost to India's own science technology project capacity. This is what this editorial talks about. Good editorial. All right. So we are trying to only look into Big Bang, and through this we are trying to look at what will happen to the universe in times to come. India's Neutrino Observatory is one of the subsets of these kind of projects, right? So capacity building. See, when you look at these scientists, C.V. Raman, Homi Bhabha, Vikram Sarabhai, they all were based in other countries, some of them in USA and some of them in Europe. And during the times of World War, they all came back. They were studying there, and they had thought of continuing their education and pursuing the technology there. But then they came back during the time of Second World War, and then nationalist people, they also looked at it. So India is similarly developing these technologies or capacities in Europe, USA, and then they're looking at coming back to our own country, India and Europe and USA, right? So this is a good move. If you would like to attach yourself to understanding this further, you should look at the schemes in which government says that the people working in USA and Europe, the scientists working there, they can come to India for 3 months and they can be like an interns. They will be paid at par with Indian scientists, and you can go back as well. So these are schemes in which capacity building, and these scientists will get a taste of how India is operating and how they can participate here. So these are various schemes India has actually run, but of course not very successful right now. Right, providing them a few lakhs of rupees per month, 3-4 lakh rupees per month, and what they earn there would be quite a bit, right? So, and then of course a lot of bureaucratic hurdles. The technology is not here, we don't have equipment here, right? So a lot of challenges. The cost and benefits associated with the hydropower in India. See, benefits associated: large hydropower, 40,000 plus gigawatt of hydropower being produced right now in the country. 40 gigawatt plus. Around 15% of India's power comes through this. Around 200 gigawatt power comes through coal based. See, although we've said downgrading coal, but 200 gigawatt, 40 gigawatt from big hydel, but big hydel is also not very productive. You know that, right? If we stop the natural flow of river, what does it do? We are not able to ensure that the water ecosystem, it rejuvenates in the lower or middle reaches of the river, right? It also creates the effect of flood at higher altitudes, right? Not only that, if you look at the complete water ecology, the pollution in water, this is all because of the capturing of water at various places. So there are benefits. It controls floods at lower altitudes, lower heights, lower banks, but then it also transforms into hydroelectric power energy. But what are the costs? The cost example put here: increased flooding in hilly regions, environmental risk associated with it, right? So inundation, the deforestation, right? All of them are these side effects. Lot of money put into it. Then displacement of people, tribals and the locals. All of them are the costs. So instead of large hydel, can we have small hydel? Yes. The potential of small hydel in the country right now is 5 gigawatt, but that is also not small quantity. 5 gigawatt, less than 25 megawatt. Less than 25 megawatt is the capacity of these plants, and small is also not small, it is huge, it is very big. All right, moving ahead to the third article that we have: Russia and Ukraine conflicts comes with inflation challenge. All right, why not? Yes. See, the problem with any conflict issue, for example war or internal disturbance, either of them, is that the cost of the prices rise is not proportional to the shortage in availability. A simple example, I had read this years back. 10% shortfall in availability of food grains in Somalia. Only 10% shortfall results in 50% price rise. 50% price rise. Imagine that. Right? I hope you are able to understand. If it was 100 kgs that was meeting the requirements of people, and if only 90 kgs is available, so all the people, they will compete to gain these 90 itself, and the prices will escalate 50%. So when you look at this crisis between Russia and Ukraine, already the supply chain is running cutthroat competition levels. The availability of containers is also short, right? And then some of these countries are major suppliers. For example, Ukraine, Russia, supplier of oil seeds for us, right? Mineral oil was asked in the examination this time, right? Main examination. So supplier of that. They also supply wheat to these economies, European economies and around the world. They also are importers. They import a lot of tea from us, coffee from us. What do we do now? They also export a lot of gases and petroleum, right? So when you look at SWIFT transactions getting cancelled, when you look at these transactions not happening, there are many other things that they transact in, and when they are not happening, this will lead to shortfall in these items present in international market, and shortfall will lead to escalated prices, inflation. And although it might not impact the people directly in the first go, but indirectly or in times to come, it will definitely impact. Look at the impact of inflation itself, right? So where is petrol? Yeah, petroleum. If gas petroleum costs are high, what will it lead to? It will lead to more import by the country, more deficit for the country. We will have to use foreign exchange reserves also. Now, during these times, there is a flight of money from all the markets around the world. Why? Because the world economy will see a downside because of inflation. When the money goes away, then the FDIs in our country are low. If FDIs are low, that means there will be lesser dollars present in the country. If lesser dollar is present, that means higher Indian currency is present. If higher number of Indian currency is present, that means there is a depreciation in the Indian currency. If Indian currency depreciates, that means we will have to spend more to import. Imports will be costly. Whatever we are importing, that will be also costly. Lesser items, they are also costly, but the cost of import also will rise because of depreciation of rupee. Imagine that. And what about petrol? If petrol prices rise, which they are ought to rise, see, government is withholding the rise of petroleum because it is decreased the level of taxation by 5% and 10% on petrol and diesel. So who faces deficit? Government companies face deficit, and this is another impact, fiscal deficit, and then leading to higher burden of debt in the government. Oh my God. And what about the people? Even if the prices are regulated right now, they cannot regulate it for a lot of time. India has said that we will release the strategic reserves, but for how long will it be there sustaining? It is going to lead to inflation, right? So explain a lot more than what is the part mentioned in this particular editorial. All right. And yes, why do I explain all this and time and again is because I think there were 3 questions asked directly from whatever I have spoken right now. Pre-examination last year, 3 questions asked. Economy, time and again, they ask fundamental questions like this itself, whatever I have mentioned right now. All right. So if you appreciate this initiative, shower some love through likes, comments, and shares. If you subscribe to the channel, you will receive timely updates for these. Let me look at some questions here. All right. Amran says it is like IFSC code used in international transactions. Russia has been reducing its dollar dependency since Crimean annexation. See, so Russia already had thought what would be the impacts of this kind of annexation. That is why Russia still went ahead with it, right? Rocket Boys, yes. Rocket Boys is a series on Sony Live based on these premier scientists of the country. Thumba and Sri Harikota, all right, thank you. Thumba for Vikram Sarabhai Space Center and Sri Harikota for the Satish Dhawan Space Center, right? So one of them is located on the west coast and Kerala, and one of them is located at Sri Harikota, east coast. There is a reason why they are placed at coastal areas, and there is a reason why it is placed at west coast. India, the whole world revolves from west to east. A possible pre-question anytime could be asked, a conceptual question, right? West to east. And then if these rockets launch from here, there are some elements of the rocket which fall back, no? For example, the fuel, those level 1 fuel containers, all of them, they eject out, and they, instead of they falling on the land, they would fall on the water. So this is prime reason why some of the sites are chosen very carefully. All right. Thank you. I remember these questions they would ask. They would confuse us between asking where is Vikram Sarabhai Space Center located and where is Satish Dhawan Space Center located. All right. Thank you. Priyam mentioned his name. All right. Great. So AUKUS. Yes, AUKUS is the reason, that is because of which France and Russia have got some irritants between them. Okay. Okay. What's next? See, you people are already making guesses of what could come in the exam. When you know about Prime Minister's speech, something related to that could be asked. Absolutely, possibly. See, these days, how UPSC is scheduling as per my experience, it is scheduling the examination is very simple. If you are in, contact with current affairs, if you are reading current affairs, they want many people to clear on the basis of what is in the news, common awareness. But one thing more, along with current affairs, they're also asking the fundamental things rooted to history, to economy, to geography. They're asking that as well. So current affairs, the volcanoes were in news, they asked the question in main examination. Current affairs, economy has always been in news, they asked questions about foundations of economy. Current affairs, history, they have asked quite a few questions which were historically oriented in pre-exam also. Pre-exam also, each of them. For example, the flag 1921 flag was initiated, India's modern flag, the current flag, and then there was a question of there was a option to be rejected based on this information. Panduleni complex, all of them in news, right? Recently discovered, one of the caves were discovered. Then Ajanta and Ellora both were in news because of excessive rainfall last year, and because of this the problem was that the paintings got destroyed. So they asked which is the river aside Ajanta. So see, if you know what is in current affairs and start linking to some research, you will be able to achieve substantial bit of it. Bread basket of Europe, the Donbass plains. All right, thank you. Black marketing also. Black marketing means there is no control of the organized economy over it. And if there's no control, then of course it leads to unsubstantiated inflation, unsubstantiated presence of money at different levels. All right. Yes, Hima, we will understand the Chinese policy as well, because Russia in a way is following Chinese policy in some ways, or maybe the vice versa. But then both of them are into the ways of economic reforms. Almost a one-party system in Russia right now, just like China formally has one. And they both went through the communist phase. Both of them, changed from the communist setup to the capitalist setup. We will understand this in the feature news today itself. Thank you for mentioning. Case study of the day is on a beautiful school. This school is based in the floodplain regions and the delta region of Ganga and Brahmaputra in Bangladesh. One reason why Bangladesh prospers is this: they have innovative ways to do the same thing. One good example of this is the Dena Bank. Another good example of this is these schools, the boat schools. Now, what they do here is that when Bangladesh is known for floods, and if schools get closed, then can they not have the complete school system based on water itself? And not only water, the boats would actually arrive at some locations, some jetty points where boat can ensure that people get in and get off. The students would get in and the boat would depart to collect more students. They would in a way act as buses, and then they would get stationed at a place and they would teach students. There is a blackboard placed here. There are also some playing games. There are various games playing. When I saw this complete image, I was very, very elated to see the children were participating. And daytime children work, children study here, and evening time it is the females who are ready to get skilled. So evening time they come and utilize the boat for learning some skills. So ek teer se do shikar, right? So such a good way of working in Bangladesh. It's a great initiative. Floating schools. Can we not have these schools getting operated in places of high flood proneness? Bihar, Assam, right? So great effort. NGO, Shidulai Swarnivar Sangatha, right? So this is how they are operating, and they have 23 boats and all of them are solar powered. Very nice. Internet linked computers, floating farm and flood resistant cropping techniques. This is what NGOs are teaching here to the females as well in the evenings. So great initiative, right? Leonardo DiCaprio says, this is not a partisan debate, it is a human one. Clean air and water and livable climate are inalienable human rights, and solving this by crisis is not a question of politics, it's a moral obligation. So Leonardo is one fighter who is looking for fighting for rights of people, no? A lot of NGOs created through his institution in Africa and India. And then we also have Matt Damon, right? His institution's exam was asked, an institution linked to him was asked in the examination last year. All right. So what do we have this? Yeah. So do look at these floating schools. Note them as a key point, a beautiful key point, innovative way of progressing social development in Bangladesh. This is the reason that Bangladesh has got very good HDI indicators. The rising economy, the rising tiger in the South Asian economy. This is what Bangladesh is called as. So they have also overtaken per capita GDP ahead of India. Great step. If you like this initiative, shower some love. We will quickly meet in the feature news video. Thank you for participating. Questions, please put them down. Vivek says, floating farms also from Bangladesh. Yeah, floating farms. Hydroponics being created in Hyderabad, many other places. They also help in recuperating the water itself, right? And you remember we had covered the example of sea cucumber. Bhai, yahi hai. This is what it is. The answers are right in front of you. You only got to mug it up. And we are creating a revolution amongst ourselves. We never know. One of you would be in IAS, another one in IPS, another one in railway, another one in another service, another one might become a scientist from right amongst you. Amlan, look at this, journal scientist. So that is the point I'm making. Be diligent with one initiative and then you see the impact of it. And one more thing, this is something that you will have to do by yourself always. But we never had mentors sharing this. But I am sharing this right now. You will have to remember. Memorizing is the key. And for memorizing, we will have to prepare notes. That's what I am saying. Not a huge demand to make from you people. If we want to organize, we have to prepare notes. You know what has happened? What has happened with me, I would like to share. When I finished off with my preparation years back, I actually gave up all my notes. I only had NCERT books with me, but all the memorized notes that I had, polity, geography, history, environment, all of them, they were printed in my mind. And I threw them away thinking possibly I will not get associated. I was working in the government, last 3 years, until 4 years back, I was working there. So I felt that I will never get back, and I threw my notes away, and now I need them. I need them to help you. I need them to sharpen my own skills. My own notes. Books are there, but my notes are the ones which actually helped me. It's there in my mind, but I'm not able to recollect these smaller fragments. For example, Article 110, Article 117, 1, 117, 3. Should I not remember this? I must. For myself to get help and to help you. This is the power of notes. And this is what you will have. So what did I do? I reached out to my friends who are already in service, already working and already in service, and those people still have the notes with them. They can't part away with them. That is the value of notes. You will remember them even when you become a very skilled person, professional, and already doing well, you will still have them. So notes, have them and remember, memorize, and then you will see the magic and wonder it creates for yourself. Right? If you like this initiative, share some love. So likes, comments, and shares. Quickly meet you in the other video on Russia-Ukraine historical perspective. Thank you for watching.